what sites in Iran might be targeted?
Well, I'm not going to go obviously into specifics, although I understand the intrigue. But of course, Iran is different from a terrorist organization like Hezbollah, different from Hamas. There are assets there that can be very substantial in their managing of warfare, the decision-making process. Of course, we need to be very cautious, and I won't want to elaborate on that beforehand any further. But
You
absolutely,
seem to be indicating military sites then, Lieutenant Colonel.
I don't want to imply anything at this stage. It would be irresponsible of me to try and elaborate further, Nick. I think that it's clear that it has to change. The situation can't be allowed where a nation and the Iranian regime are allowed to utilize their power as they have on 7 fronts. They've been attacking Israel. And this is the second occasion where they've decided to do it directly against us. That has to stop.
How long do you see these retaliatory, or as we would say in the UK, tit-for-tat attacks going on, Lieutenant Colonel?
So I think we are focused currently on our main arena, which has shifted to the north of Israel, Hezbollah. And so I think that there are different scenarios that can be implemented. But while we focus on trying to bring home the 60,000 Israelis that have been evacuated now for a year from their homes, what we're going to try and do is focus our energy primarily there. And you'll see in the next few days, we'll continue to operate in the border area to dismantle Hezbollah's infrastructure, their attack infrastructure, but that they prepared to conduct a 7th of October type of attack.
To boots on the ground, as they call them, the troops are now in Lebanon. Israeli troops are now in Lebanon on what are called limited, localized and targeted raids on Hezbollah targets. Will they be there days, weeks? How long do you imagine, Lieutenant Colonel?
And so the operation is focused against the attack infrastructure. What we found, and we revealed yesterday quite extensively, over the course of the last several months, the IDF has conducted very precise special forces operations, incursions into Hezbollah's forward operations bases. So basically what we found is extensive infrastructure, rocket positions, bunkers, attack tunnels. So proximity, close to the border area. What they've done is built these tunnels where people would be able to congregate in houses, then go down into tunnels, arm themselves, and then storm towards the border fence or towards Israel. So what we're currently focused on with the boots on the ground, as you said, is to dismantle that. The amount of effort that they put in to try and give them the advantage of surprise, like what happened on the 7th of October, can also never be permitted. And we need to make sure that the people of Israel, the 60,000 Israelis, just imagine being evacuated from your home for a year because of a terrorist threat.
Lieutenant Colonel, just imagine living in Gaza, where you've been evacuated from your home, you've been moved to different cities, and the shells continue to rain down. Imagine that, Lieutenant Colonel.
I absolutely agree, and we need to ask how we allowed Hamas to become such a formidable threat and put the people of Gaza at such a risk.
What would it take for the IDF to cease fire?
I think, ceasefire, we need to make sure that the 60,000 Israelis can go home safely and securely. That needs to be the outcome. We've been trying for a year now, Nick, with negotiations and diplomacy. That has not been realized. And as the war shifts from south, from the front with Hamas, where most of Hamas have now been, and their capabilities have been destroyed to an effective level, we can focus on restoring safely and securely the return of 60,000 Israelis that need to go home. That would result in a ceasefire. Of course, we're currently fighting not only against the immediate infrastructure on our border, but also taking away the strategic assets. Hezbollah has accumulated some 200,000 missiles, rockets, drones with precision-guided capabilities. They have more missiles and rockets than most European countries. This is the most powerful non-state actor in the world. And they are holding Israel and the north of Israel hostage, but I would say they're also holding Lebanon hostage because of how and where they've positioned their assets as a terrorist organization.
I've mentioned Gaza. If I can take you there, there's reports that Israeli strikes overnight have killed 32 people in southern Gaza. This is an operation that's been running almost now 12 months. How much longer? Why has it not been concluded?
So we are seeing efforts by Hamas to re-establish some of their capabilities. And when the operations develop into that, then we're conducting strikes. I don't have details specifically about this incident. I was just getting updated just as we were getting on the line. So I don't have the specific details. But yes, absolutely, we will continue to seek out Hamas, their leadership, their terrorists, those that are planning to conduct operations. I don't know if it was by mistake or just by chance. Last night, as Iran was attacking us, around 300 people, many of them armed, tried to approach some of our forces exactly at the same time. So Hamas terrorists are an extension of the Iranian ballistic missiles that rained down on us yesterday.
I appreciate you probably haven't had a full briefing yet, but it is reported that the dead on this strike last night include women and children, Lieutenant Colonel. Yet more women and children, Lieutenant Colonel.
Every single life that lost in this war, Nick, is a tragedy. And I would add, we are going to extreme lengths beyond, if you look at how Iran launched their rockets at us yesterday and how Israel is calling on evacuation in comparison. That is the way that we fight. We are trying to limit the civilian anguish of war, whereas our enemies are doing everything to fire indiscriminately. When they barge across the border on the 7th of October, they took men, women, and children.
All right.
They abducted them into Gaza. And yes, there are consequences of launching a war against Israel.
Yes, I think many people, as they witness Gaza, might have different views. But lastly, can I take you to domestic events in Israel? Terrorist killing, it is reported, at least 6 civilians in the Jaffa neighborhood of Tel Aviv. What does that mean for internal security, Lieutenant Colonel?
So these are the terrorists, from what I understand, were 2 Palestinians that came from Hebron, got on the light rail in southern Tel Aviv and indeed in Jaffa, stabbed a person, took her weapon, and then went on a rampage, killing indeed 6 people. There is, and when I said since the 7th of October, we have been confronted with terrorism and attacks and war on 7 fronts. This is just another front that Israel is experiencing. It is extremely concerning, of course, and the security forces in Israel, primarily that would be the Israeli police force that were responding to this event. They're dealing with it. And yes, of course it is concerned. There is a very, very challenging time to be in Israel today.